The human named Rylan never expected his quiet life to change because of a single moment years ago. He had always believed that the universe was far too big for one person to matter. But the day he crossed paths with a wounded alien child on a destroyed battlefield, everything changed even if he didn't know it at the time. That child had been too weak to speak, too injured to stand, and the only thing he could do back then was press his hand to her chest and share his life energy through the emergency field device strapped to his wrist. It was a rare human technology, something only soldiers and rescue workers carried. He gave the girl so much energy that he fainted beside her. After that day, they went their separate ways, and he assumed she grew up somewhere far away, living a life he would never see. Rylan thought that chapter of his life was closed forever. He had gone back to his work, fixing starship engines and traveling between colony stations. He had no idea that someone out there still remembered him so deeply that her first thought every morning was the same human who saved her. He didn't know she had spent years searching for him, years learning how to walk again, how to breathe without machines, how to survive in a society that did not think disabled people had much to offer. He didn't know that she whispered his name every night, even though she wasn't sure if her memory of him was real or just a dream created by pain and loneliness. On a quiet evening on Station Helios 9, Rylan walked through the docking bay after finishing his shift. His muscles were tired, and his eyes felt heavy. He didn't expect anything unusual. For him, life was simple. Fix engines, help travelers, and sleep. But when he stepped into the large hall, he noticed a crowd gathered near the arrival gates. Something inside him felt strange, as if a moment from the past was calling him. A gentle voice spoke behind him. "Excuse me, are you Rylan?" He turned and saw a girl standing there, maybe in her early 20s, but something about her made him pause. Her skin had a soft silver glow, and her eyes were deep violet features he recognized from the alien species he once helped. But what struck him more was the way she stood. Her legs shook slightly, as if each step took effort. Thin support bands wrapped around her knees, glowing faintly with medical energy. She held a small cane, but her grip trembled. He blinked, confused. "Yes, I'm Rylan. Can I help you?" Her eyes softened with warmth and a little fear. "You don't remember me, but I remember you." Quote, he frowned, trying to place her face, but it felt impossible. He had met many aliens in his life. "I'm sorry," he said gently. "Have we met before?" She nodded slowly, and her voice broke slightly. "You shared your life energy with me. On the war front. When I was dying," Rylan froze. The memory hit him so hard that he almost forgot to breathe. That abandoned battlefield, the burning wreckage, the small girl fighting to stay alive. It all came back at once. You're that child?" he whispered. "Yes," she said quietly. "My name is Saris." Rylan stared at her, stunned. The last time he saw her, she had been so young, fragile, and covered in dust and blood. He thought she would never recover. But here she was older now, taller, still weak yet standing proudly in front of him. "I can't believe it," he said. I didn't think you survived." "I survived because of you," she replied, her voice soft but firm. "The energy you gave me, it bonded with my system. Without it, I would have faded in minutes. My people said humans were dangerous. But when I woke up, I remembered only kindness." Rylan felt a strange pull in his chest, something between warmth and guilt. "I'm glad you're alive," he said. "But how did you find me?" "No. But how did you find me?" She looked down for a moment, her fingers tightening on her cane. "It took many years. Human rescue teams don't keep the same records as my people. I only had your first name and the memory of your face. I followed every rumor, every human group passing through our sector. I joined recovery programs, learned languages, and traveled even when walking hurt. And when I heard the name Rylan the mechanic on Helios 9, I came as fast as I could." He felt speechless. No one had ever searched for him with such determination. "Saris, you didn't have to go through so much." "I did," she said, lifting her eyes to meet his. Because I wanted to tell you something myself. Something I've carried in my heart for years. Her words made him tense. Not in fear, but in uncertainty. This girl, this woman, now looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and something deeper. Something he didn't expect. Before she could continue, her legs buckled slightly. Rylan reacted instantly, catching her before she fell. She gasped softly at the sudden support, her hands gripping his sleeves as she steadied herself. "Careful," he said gently. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," she whispered, though her voice trembled. "I pushed myself too much. I didn't want to delay meeting you." Rylan helped her sit on a bench near the wall. People in the hall moved around them, but he felt as if the entire station had faded away. All he could see was the girl who had fought so hard to stay alive, and who had traveled across stars just to speak to him. She took a few breaths before continuing. "My injuries from that day. They never fully healed. My bones grew uneven. My nerves send wrong signals. Sometimes I fall even when I try my best not to. But every time I felt pain, I remembered how you didn't hesitate to save me." He listened quietly, his chest tight with empathy. "Most people look at me and see weakness," Sarah said softly. "But you looked at me back then and saw someone worth saving. That moment changed everything for me. I wanted to thank you. But I also wanted to show you that I'm still trying to live, even when life is difficult." Her honesty touched something deep in him. Rylan had always tried to help others, but he never thought his actions could change a life this much. "You don't owe me anything," he said in a calm voice. "I did what anyone should do." She shook her head. "No. Not anyone. Many walked past me that day. You were the only one who stopped." Rylan didn't know how to respond. He looked at her for a long moment, noticing the way her purple eyes glowed softly, filled with emotion she was struggling to control. Finally, she spoke again. "There is one more thing I came to tell you." "What is it?" he asked gently. She placed her hand over her heart. "The energy you shared with me. It never left. It became part of me. My healers say it shaped my recovery. Because of it, I grew with a piece of you inside me, not your body, not your memories, but your strength." Her voice softened. "I have lived all these years trying to honor that gift." Rylan felt something shift inside him. He had never imagined that one act of kindness could create such a bond. "Saris, I'm glad my energy helped you. Truly." She breathed slowly, gathering courage. "I didn't come only to thank you. I came because I wanted to stay near you for a little while. To learn who you are now. To understand the human who saved me." Her words were careful, not demanding but full of quiet hope. Rylan nodded slowly. "If you want to stay on this station for a while, I can help you. I know places that are easy to walk, places where you can rest." Her face brightened with a soft, shy smile. "I would like that." He didn't know what the future would bring, but he knew one thing. Fate had brought Saris back into his life for a reason, and as she sat beside him, breathing calmly again, he felt that this was only the beginning of a story he never expected to be part of. And Saris, for the first time in years, she no longer felt alone. Rylan didn't know why his heart felt so heavy and warm at the same time as he helped Saris walk through the corridor of Helios 9 station. It felt unreal to him, almost like a ghost from his past had suddenly stepped into his present life. He kept glancing at her cane, watching how carefully she balanced each step, how her legs trembled now and then, and how she forced herself to keep going. It made him worry, but he didn't say anything yet. He didn't want to treat her like she was fragile, even though he could see the pain she tried to hide. Saris stayed close to him, her pace slow but steady. She kept looking around with wide eyes, almost like a child seeing the world for the first time. "Your station is very bright," she said softly. "Everything feels alive here." Rylan smiled a little. "Helios 9 is one of the busiest stations in this sector. People from everywhere pass through. You'll meet all kinds of species here. Body and body. People from energy. People from energy, people from energy. People from energy, people. People from energy, people. People from energy, people." She nodded, her long silver hair swaying slightly as she moved. I never traveled much before. My body, it wasn't strong enough. She paused before saying quietly, "It still isn't. But I wanted to meet you more than I feared the journey." Those words hit him deeply. No one had ever crossed light years just to speak to him. He walked slower, not wanting her to feel pressured to move fast. "I'm glad you came," he said gently. "But you should rest. There's a small, quiet corner near the docking bay. Not many people go there." Saris gave him a soft smile. "I trust you." As they walked, Rylan remembered the day he first saw her. A small girl lying among ruins, barely breathing, reaching out with shaking fingers as though begging life not to leave her. He had knelt, placed his energy patch on her chest, and let it drain half of his own strength into her tiny body. He never expected it would bond her life to his. He had saved others before, but none of them came back years later searching for him with such emotion in their eyes. When they reached the quiet corner, a small lounge with dim lights and gentle air circulation, Rylan helped her sit. Saris released a long breath, as if her whole body had been waiting for that moment. Her legs trembled faintly beneath her. Rylan crouched beside her, his voice soft. "Is it painful?" She hesitated before answering. "Yes, but it's normal for me. I've lived with pain since I was a child. My people call it broken bones that learned wrong. The healers tried to fix it, but the damage was too deep." She lifted her hand, showing the faint scar where his life energy device had once been placed. "Your energy helped me survive, but it could not make me complete." Rylan looked at her scar thoughtfully. "You're more complete than you think." She blinked, surprised. "Why do you say that? Why do you say that?" He gently tapped his own chest. "You're alive. You're strong enough to travel. Strong enough to stand on your own legs even if they tremble. That's more than many people ever achieve." Saris stared at him, her violet eyes warming. "You always speak like that?" she asked, her tone soft but curious. "As if everyone deserves kindness?" "I try," Rylan said. "The universe is already harsh. I don't want to add more harshness to it." She lowered her gaze, thinking deeply about his words. Slowly, she said, "I grew up in a society where disabled people were kept separate." Her voice became quiet. "They said we slowed the progress of our world, that we made it appear weak. I spent most of my early life in medical halls. I had no friends. No one wanted to walk beside me." Rylan felt something hot inside his chest. Anger, maybe, or sadness. "That's not fair," he said firmly. "Being disabled doesn't make someone less." Saris's lips trembled. Not from pain this time, but from emotion. "That day, when you gave me your energy, it was the first time anyone looked at me without seeing a burden." Rylan sat beside her, unsure how to respond. He wasn't used to people speaking to him with such raw honesty. He felt protective of her, even though he barely knew her as an adult. After a moment, Saris asked softly, "Do humans have people like me? People who struggle to walk?" "Yes," Rylan replied. "We have many. Some are born like that. Some become disabled later. But they still live full lives. They study, they work, they travel. We try to support them." Saris listened with awe. "Your species, you surprise me. My people think strength means perfection, but you think strength means trying." Rylan chuckled lightly. "Humans are stubborn. We keep going even when we fall. Especially when someone is watching us." Saris smiled slowly. "Then maybe I have been a little human for a long time." They sat together for a while, the quiet air around them gentle and warm. Saris rested her hands on her lap, breathing slowly. She didn't feel alone anymore, and that itself gave her strength she never felt before. After some time passed, Saris said, "Rylan, I want to ask something, but I don't know if it is appropriate." He looked at her calmly. "Ask anything." She hesitated, her cheeks turning slightly pink, a subtle glow for her species. "If I stay on this station for a few days, would it bother you?" she asked. "I don't want to disturb your life. I only want to be near the person who gave me a second chance." Rylan shook his head. "It wouldn't bother me. You're welcome to stay as long as you need. I can help you with anything, walking, moving around, finding a place to sleep." Her eyes brightened with relief. "Thank you," she whispered. "I was afraid you would send me away." "I wouldn't," he replied. "You've come too far for me to ignore you." A light tremor went through her legs again, and Rylan gently placed a hand on her shoulder to steady her. "Do you need support when you walk?" Saris nodded quietly. "Sometimes." "Then I'll walk with you," he said. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with emotion. "No one ever said that to me before." Rylan felt something tighten in his heart. Not romantic. Not yet. But something protective. Something strong. He didn't want her to think she was alone anymore. "Come on," he said gently as he stood. "I'll take you to my quarters. You can rest there until you feel stronger." Saris shook her head. "No. I don't want to trouble you." "You're not troubling me," he said firmly. "You're my responsibility now." Her eyes widened slightly. "Why do you say that?" "Because I saved you once, and maybe I'm supposed to take care of you again." She held his gaze, breathing softly, slowly. She extended her hand. Then, "Please help me stand." Rylan took her hand carefully, helping her rise. Her legs wobbled, but she didn't fall. Together, they walked toward the lift. Every step she took showed how hard life had been for her, but also how determined she was. Inside the lift, Saris leaned slightly against the wall, catching her breath. "Rylan, can I ask one more thing?" "Of course." Her voice softened. "Do you think someone like me can have a normal future? Not perfect. Just a future where I'm not left behind?" Rylan looked at her not with pity, but with sincerity. "I think you already have a future. You're standing here. You traveled across galaxies. You found someone you've been searching for. That alone proves you're stronger than most people." Saris swallowed, her eyes shining. "I wanted to hear that. I wanted someone to believe in me." "I do," Rylan said. "More than you know." The lift opened, and Rylan guided her to a small room, humble but clean, with a soft bed and warm lights. Saris stepped inside slowly, looking around with wonder. "It feels peaceful," she whispered. "You can rest here," Rylan said. "I'll bring food and water. You don't have to move until you want to." Saris turned to look at him. "Rylan, I came all this way to thank you. But now that I'm here, I feel like I want to know you. I want to understand the person who saved me." He nodded slowly. "Then we'll start with something simple. You rest, and tomorrow I'll show you the station." She smiled softly, her expression filled with gratitude and something tender. "Thank you for not turning me away." Rylan stepped back toward the door. "Get some sleep, Saris. Tomorrow is a new day." As he left the room, he realized something surprising. He wasn't just helping her. He felt connected to her in a way he couldn't explain. And inside the room, Saris whispered quietly to herself, placing her hand over her heart, where his life energy once entered her body. "I finally found you. And I won't let fear make me leave again." They both knew without saying it that the bond between them had only just begun to grow. The next morning came softly on Helios 9. The artificial lights shifted from blue night tones to warm yellow dawn, spreading across the station like a gentle wave. Rylan had barely slept. He kept thinking about Saris, about the girl he once saved, and the young woman she had become. Her courage, her long journey, the way she looked at him as if he was the one steady thing in her universe. None of it left his mind. He stepped quietly through the hallways, carrying a small tray with warm human breakfast and some nutrient cubes that alien physiology could handle. Before he reached the door of his quarters, he hesitated. He wasn't sure what he expected to see. Maybe she would still be asleep. Maybe she would be in pain. Maybe she would regret coming here. But as he opened the door, he found Saris sitting upright on the bed, her silver hair gently falling over her shoulders. She looked tired but peaceful. Her legs stretched out in front of her, wrapped in soft medical bands she must have put on during the night. When she saw him, her eyes warmed in a way that made him stop for a heartbeat. "You're awake early," Rylan said. "I didn't want to waste the day," Saris replied quietly. "There is much I want to see, and much I want to say." Rylan walked in and placed the tray in front of her. "Eat first. Talking can wait." Saris smiled softly and picked up one of the nutrient cubes. "You humans always worry so quickly. You give us reasons to," he replied with a light laugh. She took a small bite, her expression brightening. "This is good. Better than the medical food I grew up with." Rylan sat across from her, watching her carefully. It was strange how familiar she felt, even though they had met again only yesterday. After eating a little, Saris wiped her hands and looked at him more seriously. "Rylan, last night, when I rested here, I felt something strange. Not fear, not pain, just calm." "That's good," Rylan said. "You deserve that." Saris nodded slowly. "But I am not used to it. My past was always full of pressure. People telling me I was weak, that I should stay hidden. When I woke up and didn't feel that anymore, it almost scared me." Rylan leaned forward. "Saris, you're safe here. And you don't have to hide anything." She lowered her gaze, her voice gentle. "It still feels like a dream. Sitting in the room of the human who saved my life." Rylan didn't know what to say to that. He simply offered his hand, not touching her, just placing it near her as a quiet gesture. Saris looked at it for a moment before slowly placing her hand on top of his. Her fingers were cool, her touch careful, as if she feared she might break something if she pressed too hard. "Rylan," she whispered, "I want to know more about you. More than just the man who saved me that day. And I want to know you too," he said softly. She drew in a calming breath and slowly stood up. Rylan moved quickly to support her, placing one hand lightly near her back, not touching unless necessary. Saris steadied herself and smiled. "Let's explore the station. You promised to show me." Rylan nodded. "Stay close to me. If you need help, just say so." They walked out together. Saris moved slowly, each step careful, but her determination never faded. Her cane tapped softly against the metal floor. Rylan kept a steady pace beside her, ready to catch her if she stumbled. They began with the botanical dome, a large, glass-covered area filled with plants from different worlds. Warm mist floated through the air, carrying scents of alien flowers and glowing vines. Saris's eyes widened with wonder. "It feels alive," she whispered. "My homeworld never had gardens like this. Our environments were controlled, efficient, but empty." "You can come here anytime," Rylan said. "This place helps people breathe better. Not physically, but emotionally." Saris bent down to touch a small blue leaf. Her fingers trembled slightly. Not from weakness this time, but from awe. "It's beautiful. I never imagined I would see a place like this." They walked for a while through the soft paths. A few people glanced at Saris, noticing her cane and trembling steps, but most simply smiled kindly. She hesitated at first, afraid the attention might be negative, but she soon realized no one judged her here. She straightened her back a little, confidence glowing faintly in her eyes. After some time, her leg trembled more strongly, and she reached for Rylan's arm. He offered it instantly, letting her hold him lightly. "Are you all right?" he asked. Saris nodded. "Yes. I just need a moment." He guided her to a bench. She sat down with a careful breath. Rylan watched her worriedly. "You tell me if it gets too painful. We don't have to push." She shook her head gently. "I didn't travel across galaxies to sit in a room. I want to live, Rylan. Truly live. Not just survive." Her determination made him smile faintly. "You're more human than you think." She looked at him with soft amusement. "Is that a good thing?" "For me, Yes, he replied. After a few minutes of rest, they continued their walk around the station. Rylan showed her the market hall, the science wing, and the star viewing deck, where windows displayed the endless starfield. Saris was quiet there, staring out into space. Her reflection glowed faintly against the glass. Rylan, she said softly, do you ever think about fate? Sometimes, he answered. I wonder if I was meant to meet you again, she said. I wonder if the universe did not want our bond to be forgotten. Rylan watched her carefully. Maybe you found me because you were meant to, or maybe you found me because you never stopped trying. She turned to him slightly, her eyes shimmering. I didn't stop because your energy stayed with me. It felt like a light I carried inside. Even when I was lonely, even when my legs hurt so much I couldn't sleep, that light kept me moving forward. He swallowed quietly, touched by her words. Saris, I never knew. You weren't supposed to, she replied softly. But I wanted you to hear it from me. You are the reason I am alive today. Suddenly, a small tremor shook the station. Saris gasped, losing her balance. Rylan caught her quickly, holding her steady. Her legs buckled entirely, and she clung to him, breathing sharply. It's okay, Rylan whispered. I've got you. She didn't speak for a moment. She only held on to him while her legs trembled uncontrollably. After a long breath, she whispered, I'm sorry. I didn't want you to see me like this. There's nothing to be sorry for, he said firmly. This doesn't change anything. Her voice shook. But I am broken. No, he said, pulling her slightly closer to keep her steady. You are brave. You're stronger than anyone I know. She looked up at him slowly, her violet eyes shimmering with emotion. Do you really think that? I know it. Saris closed her eyes for a moment, letting his words settle inside her. When she opened them again, she whispered, Rylan, I don't know what the future holds. My body may never heal completely. I may always need help, but, if you allow me, I want to stay close to you. Not because I am weak, but because my heart feels safe with you. Rylan felt his chest warm, deeper than before. He didn't see her as a burden. He never could. Saris, you can stay with me as long as you want. I'm not going anywhere. Tears gathered gently in her eyes, not from sadness but from relief. I was afraid, she admitted softly. Afraid that you would walk away once you saw the truth of my condition. Rylan shook his head. I don't walk away from people who matter. Saris blinked, the tears finally falling. Rylan, you matter to me too. He helped her lower herself onto a nearby chair so she could rest again. She wiped her tears, breathing slowly. Thank you for not turning away from me. Thank you for seeing more than my broken body. Rylan sat beside her, his voice soft but filled with meaning. Saris, you're not broken. You're alive. You're strong. And you're here with me. That's more than enough. She felt warmth spread through her. The same warmth she felt years ago when his life energy saved her. It wasn't just physical energy now, it was hope. The kind of hope she had believed she would never experience. After a long, quiet moment, Saris whispered, Rylan, will you help me walk tomorrow too? Yes, he said without hesitation. She smiled, gentle and bright. Then I am not afraid anymore. The stars outside shined softly over them as if blessing the fragile but powerful bond forming between them, one built not from perfection, but from kindness, courage, and the strength they found in each other. And as the station moved silently through the galaxy, their journey together was only beginning. The following days on Helios 9 passed in a gentle rhythm that felt new to both Rylan and Saris. Every morning, Rylan would come to his quarters with a soft knock, carrying food or water or freshly warmed blankets. And every morning, Saris would sit up with a small smile, her delicate silver hair catching the warm light that filtered through the room. Her legs trembled less when she woke now, though she knew the weakness would never fully disappear. Still, something inside her felt stronger each day, something emotional, something warm, something human-like. Today, however, was different. Rylan had promised to show her the upper observation ring, a place he rarely showed others. When Saris heard about it yesterday, her eyes had brightened in a way he had never seen before. He had instantly promised to take her there. When he stepped into the room this morning, Saris was already awake, sitting on the edge of the bed. She wore soft traveler clothes. He had helped her pick a simple white tunic, loose pants, and a light jacket to protect her skin from the station's cool air. Her cane rested beside her, glowing faintly with support energy. But when she lifted her head and saw him, she smiled so gently that Rylan felt something warm inside his chest. "You're ready already?" Rylan asked. She nodded. "I want to see the place you talked about. I want to see the stars with you." Rylan approached her carefully. "Before we go, I want to check something." She raised her eyebrows slightly, curious. He knelt in front of her and gently touched the small, stabilizing bands on her legs. "Are they fitted right? No pinching? No pain?" Saris watched him quietly, her voice soft. "They feel fine. Better than yesterday." He looked up at her. "If they hurt, you tell me immediately." "Promise me." "I promise," she said. "But you worry too much." He smiled. "Maybe. But only about people I care about." Quote. Her breath caught slightly, and she looked away, hiding the soft glow forming on her cheeks. "Let's go then." Rylan helped her stand. But he did not hold her unless she reached for him first. He wanted her to feel capable. Saris took a slow breath, testing her balance, and then nodded. "I can walk." But as soon as they stepped into the hallway, she reached for his arm lightly, not because she was falling, but because it made her feel safe. Rylan let her hold him without saying anything. Their steps echoed softly along the corridor as people walked past them, some glancing curiously at the alien girl with trembling steps, and the human who stayed patiently at her side. But no one stared too harshly, and Saris didn't feel afraid. The walk to the observation ring took time. Saris needed slow steps, and once in a while she paused to steady herself. Rylan always waited, never rushing her, never urging her to move faster. When they approached the lift, she leaned gently against the wall, catching her breath. Rylan pressed the button. "You're doing great," he told her. "I'm trying," she whispered, her voice tired but proud. When the lift arrived, they stepped inside. The doors closed, and the soft hum of ascent filled the silence. Saris stared at the glowing numbers on the panel, breathing slowly. "Rylan," she said quietly, "why do you help me so much?" He looked at her gently. "Because I want to. And because you deserve help." "No one ever said that to me before I met you," she replied softly. "Back home, they only saw my weakness." Rylan shook his head. "Then they didn't see you at all." She blinked, her purple eyes glistening. "Sometimes I think I only survived because I always hoped to meet you again. That hope made me stronger." Rylan felt something tighten in his chest. He wasn't sure what it meant yet, but he knew her words touched him deeply. The lift opened with a soft tone. They walked forward, and Saris gasped the moment she saw the observation ring. The room was circular, with tall, curved windows stretching across the walls. Outside, the galaxy shone like a river of silver and gold dust, stars sparkling like tiny gems. Nebulas glowed softly in distant space. Tiny shuttle lights drifted slowly across the dark backdrop. It felt like stepping into a dream. Saris covered her mouth with her hand, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "More than beautiful. It feels alive." Rylan led her to one of the seats near the wide, curved window. She lowered herself carefully, her gaze never leaving the stars. "Rylan," she whispered, "I have never seen the universe this way. It looks endless. It looks free." He sat beside her, watching her expression. She had seen a lot of pain in her life. But now, for the first time, she looked exactly like someone who had reached a place she once thought was impossible. For a long time, they simply sat together in silence. Saris's fingers rested lightly over her knees, her muscles trembling faintly. Rylan watched her, wanting to make sure she wasn't pushing herself too hard. Eventually, Sarah spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Rylan, there is something I haven't told you. He turned his head. What is it? She swallowed softly. When I was growing up, I kept asking the healers why a strange energy pulsed inside me. They said it came from you. The life energy you shared with me that day. It never faded. Rylan nodded gently. You told me before. Yes, but I didn't tell you everything, she said. The energy made me different from my people. My body grew in unusual ways. My mind adapted in ways even the healers didn't understand. I feel emotions more deeply now. I sense people's intentions quickly. I'm more aware of the world around me. Rylan listened carefully. I also feel something else, she continued softly. Sometimes, when you are near me, my body feels calmer. My pain becomes lighter. My legs feel a little stronger. She looked down at her trembling hands. I don't know why. Maybe your presence stabilizes the energy. Maybe it's something emotional. I don't fully understand it. Rylan spoke gently. Saris, whatever the reason is, you don't have to be afraid of it. She nodded slowly but didn't look convinced. I know. But I worry. What if this makes you feel responsible for me forever? I don't want to be a chain around your life. Rylan leaned in slightly, his voice firm but kind. Saris, you are not a chain. You're a person. And your life is important. Being with you, helping you, it doesn't trap me. It gives me purpose. She looked up at him with wide eyes. Purpose? Yes, he said. I spent years fixing machines and traveling alone. I never thought anything I did mattered. But when you came back into my life, I realized something. Sometimes helping someone is the biggest purpose a person can have. Saris felt her breath catch. Her heart raced a little. Not in fear, but in something warm and overwhelming. Rylan, I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything, he replied softly. Just be yourself. She lowered her gaze, her voice trembling. Rylan, can I ask something difficult? Ask anything. Her fingers curled lightly around her cane. If my body gets worse someday, if I can't walk at all anymore, would you still stay near me? Rylan reached out gently and touched her hand, not grabbing, just resting his fingers lightly over hers. Saris, I will stay with you no matter what. Your ability to walk doesn't change who you are. A tear slipped down Saris's cheek, but she didn't look away. She let the emotion flow freely. I was always afraid people would leave me if I became too difficult to care for. I won't leave, he said quietly. Not now, not ever, if you want me in your life. Saris swallowed, a soft sob escaping her lips not from sadness, but from relief she had never felt before. She whispered, Rylan, I want you in my life too. He shifted a little closer, still gentle, still careful. Then I'm here. For a moment, they simply stared at each other. The stars glowed through the window, lighting Saris's soft silver hair like a halo. Her trembling hands slowly stopped shaking. She leaned slightly toward him, not collapsing, just resting, allowing herself to trust him completely. After a while, Saris whispered, I don't know what the future will be. I don't know if my body will stay the same or become worse. But I want to walk whatever path I have. With you beside me. Rylan nodded. Then we'll walk it together. A soft smile formed on her lips. She gently leaned her shoulder against his, carefully, slowly, but full of meaning. Rylan didn't move away. He stayed right there, offering warmth and presence. In the reflection on the window, the two of them sat side by side, a human mechanic and a disabled alien girl, connected by a bond created in blood, pain, hope, and courage. The universe outside looked endless. Their journey together had no clear shape, no perfect certainty, but they knew one thing for sure. They had found each other again, and neither of them intended to let that go.